it's like, honestly, it was so surreal because it's not like you saw something like a knife go through your hand. You saw nothing. And all of a sudden you have a hole in your body. You heard something, but you saw nothing. You didn't see anything touch you, but now you have a hole in you and you're bleeding. The year was 1991. I was working part-time at a bank. I was going to college. I had a boyfriend. Life was awesome. Yes, 28 years ago today, I was 20 years old. I was a student at San Jose State University, and I worked part-time at Bank of the West as a teller. And yeah, I went to work on that Wednesday, just like it is today. It's a Wednesday. And I went in for my shift. I remember it was like a 12 to 4 shift. I had just gotten to my window, getting everything ready. There's a whole little process that we do when we start to open our window. And, started helping customers. And it really wasn't long that I was at work, maybe 15, 20 minutes. And this gentleman walks in. And I will say that the majority of our clientele, because it's downtown San Jose, it's just kind of the demographic of San Jose, was heavily like Latino, Latina. I don't ever want to use the wrong terms and upset anybody, but gentleman walked in, and like, I have to say that I really did typically recognize most of the clientele because we had the same people coming through all the time cashing their work checks. And so I didn't recognize him at all. And I've been given crap in the past for saying that he was black, but I was just trying to describe who he was. I mean, he was. If he was white, I would have said white. But so he walked in and I didn't recognize him. Like, there was definitely people that I recognized all the time, and he stood out because I didn't recognize him at all. And he had a trench coat on, and it was warm out. There was just things that were strange for that moment that felt off for sure. And he had an option of a few windows to go to, and he chose mine. And I was like, in my gut, I knew something was wrong. And it was just, there was something about the way he was, walking up to me. He seemed nervous. He seemed like he was checking things out as he was walking up. There was just something very odd in his behavior. And so he comes up to my window, and I'm like, like I said, I just felt nervous right away. I thought something felt off. And so he has a rolled up piece of paper and, or like a lunch bag, like a little brown lunch bag, pushes it towards me, and the gun comes out, right-handed, silver gun, pointing at me, says, "Give me all your money. Give me everything you have," something to that effect. And they taught us at the bank, don't be a hero. You do what they tell you to do. You don't push the panic button because you don't want to create any type of hostage situation where the police would show up and the gunman's still inside or the robber's still inside. So you don't do that. You do exactly what they say. That's what we were trained to do. You just give them the money. We don't want anybody hurt. Do what they say. So I'm all prepared to do what he has said. So I go to open my drawer, my till, and I turn myself sideways towards him because that's the way the drawer was. And with my right hand, I put the key in the drawer and I go to turn it. And somehow my left hand was a little bit higher, I guess. We're maybe 2 feet from each other. I mean, he was right there. And I hear a pop behind me. And I know what was happening. I know I had a gun pointed at me, but I knew I wasn't doing anything to provoke him. So the pop didn't make sense. And I thought it was a balloon behind me that had popped. And it all didn't make sense. And then all of a sudden, I feel pain in my hand, in my left hand. And I turn my hand over and look at it, and I see 2 fresh holes right here. And I'm like, not getting what I'm looking at. This isn't not making sense. And then they start to bleed. And I'm like, it's like, honestly, it was so surreal because it's not like you saw something like a knife go through your hand. You saw nothing. And all of a sudden you have a hole in your body. You heard something, but you saw nothing. You didn't see anything touch you, but now you have a hole in you and you're bleeding. So I remember just feeling like that whole like you feel like you're in almost like a surreal, like everything's getting smaller. I didn't pass out, but it was that feeling of being like in this surreal craziness. Like you're definitely kind of in instant shock. And I'm sure it's like survival mode or something, because the whole situation was so, like at that point, beyond surreal. Like it happened so fast. I was at my window, he walks up, you know, a few seconds later I'm shot, and I don't even know why this is happening, you know, what I did, why did he hurt me? So he's telling me, just be calm, just give me the money. And at this point, I'm now bleeding. It's dripping all over. It's dripping on the money. It's dripping on the counter. It's dripping on my clothes. And there's somebody behind me. His name was James. He was another teller. And he's reaching over, giving him bundled money. Like, here, please take it. Please leave, you know. And I'm still handing him money with my good hand. And at this point, the pain in my hand, the only way, and I've always described it this way, because what it did is it went in here, out here. It looked like a pencil. Like that's exactly what it looked like at the time. It looked like a pencil had gone through my wrist. But it nicked a nerve in my hand right here that branched out to like these two fingers right here. And it affected kind of like this part of my thumb at first after the injury. But anyways, it didn't hit, thankfully, an artery or a bone, nothing. It just in and out, but it nicked a nerve. So that nerve feeling felt like my hand was in a bucket of ice water that I couldn't take it out of. And that's, you know, that pain, that like constant, like it's achy. So he decides to walk out. And at this point, you know, everybody else in the bank had been watching, but wasn't really moving. We all understood what was happening. Everybody did. My managers were all there, everybody, but nobody moved because nobody wanted to get shot. So, I know this is so crazy, but we were right down the street from San Jose Medical Center, and there happened to be a nurse inside. I believe she was using the ATM, and we had a doctor there who was opening up a new account. They were totally like, I don't think they even knew each other. I don't know, but they were both in there at the same time. So he leaves on foot with a bag full of money. And I'll tell you, he did not get caught for 5 months after that. And he robbed several more banks along the way from San Jose to San Francisco in those 5 months until they caught him. But anyways, they locked the doors. I'm on the floor. They put me on the floor. You know, I have like, it's all kind of a blur, but I do remember laying on the floor. I never passed out. I remember just wanting my hand to stop hurting. It hurts so bad. And, you know, I never cried. And then I remember the paramedics show up. Well, first of all, that doctor was right there with me, asking me questions. The nurse was right there. But the nurse seemed really like, I remember lots of people just being like, oh my God. Like people were freaking out. I don't know if the nurse did that, but I feel like there was this feeling of like she couldn't believe what she just witnessed either. Like it was kind of like freaking scary, right? No one expects to see a young girl get shot in a bank. And so the paramedics show up really quickly because, like I said, we were right down the street from the hospital. And they come in, and I'm already laying on the floor. And I remember I had a J. Crew skirt. It was like patchwork. I don't know, that was the look back then, with like a white t-shirt. You'd wear those, and like with sandals. It was so cute. I didn't have that on, but I had the skirt on. And I did have a button-up white shirt that I really liked. I used to wear those a lot with the collar, and it was kind of like a Duran Duran kind of look. Anyways, I don't know why, but they cut that off too. So they cut my skirt off, they cut off the shirt, they cut off my bra. I was like, so I'm completely naked on the bank floor. Like I'm 20. Like this is so, like, I remember being incredibly embarrassed. Like I didn't want James to see me, this guy I worked with. I don't want my managers, there was no other men there, but I didn't want the paramedics to see me. It's like, God, do you have to, like, can you put something over me? Because they just had to make sure that I wasn't shot anywhere else. And I was shot in the chest also. So they didn't know that until they started. I remember my manager said, oh my God, you got shot in the chest too. Like, and I was like, what? Like, what? I mean, did not have a clue that had happened. And I looked down, and my white shirt is covered with blood. No, I thought it was somehow from my hand. I didn't know. So that, well, first of all, I'll show you my entrance wound. So this is the entrance wound. It went in right here, that one. And then this is my exit wound right there. It looks like a little, kind of like a little cross. You see that? That little spot right there. And then when it happened, here's a I didn't take good pictures back then. And like I said in my first video, I literally took this with like a disc camera. Like most people won't even know what that is, but I took it up close. I remember trying to take it with my right hand, and I'm left-handed. Of course, it hit my left hand. And so I was trying to take it with a camera that was just a shitty, no offense to my mom, because she probably got it from me, but you know, the quality wasn't great. You can't zoom in or out or anything. So you're trying to, I remember holding it in a window, like to try to get the best lighting. And that's the picture I got of my hand. So that's the best I could do. But yeah, it looked like someone had shoved a pencil through my hand, basically. So the wound in my chest, and I've shown this before, was right there. If you can see that little scar right there. And then it comes out underneath here. So that one's really like nothing really too exciting to look at. I've got a couple more pictures. Let me see if I can get these off. I have an album that has all of my stuff in it. These are my entrance and exit wounds. I don't know, this one's I'm gonna pull it out. This one's kind of good. That one right there. You can kind of see the hole. Anyways, they only did stitches on my entrance wound, because that was more messy. I guess like 3 stitches. It was nothing crazy. Thank God that only hit my rib, and it just deflected off that, and thankfully I didn't have any lung injury. And I know from watching like emergency shows, because I used to love watching those shows, that if that had hit my lung, and they kept asking me if I was breathing okay, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm breathing fine. And then I obviously realized later that, yeah, of course, if that had hit my lung would have filled up with blood. They would have had to shove a chest tube, you know, right in between my ribs and drain the blood. And I've seen that done. It's gnarly. Like, I've seen that done on emergency shows. They literally cut the skin and they just shove a tube in there. It's crazy. So that didn't happen, thank God. As far as my wrist, they just let it heal up on its own. And it was right before spring break, so I had like a week at home to kind of recover from the initial injuries. And I went back to school on time with a really kick-ass story. So I was in a drama class, and we had one of our assignments was tell a story. So I remember getting up, and I hated speaking in front of the class. Oh my God, I would rather friggin' die. I lost sleep about that class. I really did. But now I had this story, and I remember thinking, oh my God, well, I'm going to tell this and people are going to be like shocked. So this is kind of like the beginning of me telling this story. Now I've told it, you know, a million times, but back then it was like brand new, and it was, you know, it was kind of insane to like say these words. I was shot in a bank robbery. I have the bullet. Oh, I have the bullet. So it took me about a year. I begged the FBI, and it was a hollow tip 38 caliber gun. And this is what the bullet looks like before it goes through. This is like the gunpowder is in here. This is the part that shoots out. And yeah, this is my bullet right here. So that's it right here. And it did not work. It didn't do what it was supposed to. So it's like, it didn't flower out. Thank flippin' God, because otherwise I would have had a big giant hole in my hand, possibly blown my hand off, possibly blown my body in half. I don't know. So, you know, I mean, I could have died that day for sure. I always felt, I don't know that I felt lucky, but it could have definitely, like, there was moments where I was like, God, I could have died. Like, he could have shot me in the head. I had a funny thought that he could have shot my nose off, like funny things like that. But yeah, I mean, he could have shot me in the chest and killed me instantly. So you know, there's a reason I'm here today for sure, I feel. And now that I've gone through having HIV and AIDS and being public about it, like there's so many things that led up to where I am today. Like I feel like I've had, you know, 9 lives kind of. And I've been through a lot, so I'm just glad that I've been able to talk about it all. So it's kind of crazy because that was always my big story, and then the HIV thing happened, and that just became something else that, of course, I could never have planned for any of it to have gone the way it did publicly. That all just happened the way it happened because it was supposed to happen, kind of thing. You can't make those things happen like that. You can't try to make them happen the way they do. Everything unfolded kind of like, it just felt like it was supposed to happen that way. But I didn't You know what I mean? Like, I had no control of it, if that makes sense. Okay, so I think this is kind of fun. I don't remember if I shared this at all in my my first video, but, well, oh, this is me. This is dorky Jennifer at 20 years old, almost 21. So that's me in my mom's bed, you know, nursing my wounds. So I had a detective. His name was Jim Overstreet, and he was the one who was, you know, trying to find this guy, and they were trying to track him down. So there's a few different articles. Here's one by Betty Barnacle of the Mercury News. She says, San Jose bank robbed, teller is wounded. A robber shot and injured a teller at an East San Jose bank early this afternoon before making off with an undetermined amount of money. Customers at the Bank of the West on 20th and East Santa Clara Streets screamed and ducked as the bandit fired at least twice at the unidentified teller. It was only one time. A spokeswoman at the San Jose Medical Center said the woman was shot in the wrist and chest, breaking a rib, chipped a rib. The robber came into the bank at 12:15. See, I started my shift at 12, so he did come in at 12:15. With a towel draped over a handgun. Okay, I kind of forgot that. Police said he demanded money from the teller and opened fire after grabbing the money. The robber was described, I don't remember him being like rude or anything. He was pretty calm and just, you know, just was like, yeah, like, give it to me. The robber was described as 20 to 30 years old and wearing a tan jacket and blue trousers. And then here's another one. This is my manager, Margaret. That's Margaret! And, gosh, Margaret must be really old now, because she had to be in her 30s there, and she's like, gotta be 60 now. Sorry, not really old, Mom, because in your 60s, late 60s is not old. Let's see. Police are searching for a gunman who escaped with an undisclosed amount of cash Wednesday after shooting a teller at a central San Jose branch of Bank of the West during the lunch hour. The teller, a 20-year-old San Jose woman whose identity police withheld, was taken to San Jose Medical Center 5 blocks from the bank, where she was reported in good condition. She was hit by a single bullet, which went through her left wrist and chipped a rib in her right side before exiting through her back. That's actually accurate, because another one here said something else about it. The way it came out. So the calm robber shoots teller. Bank teller shot during holdup. San Jose bank believed to be robber's 9th robbery. So I might have been his 9th. San Jose bank robber suspect in other cases. Where the Bank of the West was offering a $10,000 reward for his arrest. Anyways, they finally found him. He took like people hostage in San Francisco at the Bank of Canton, and they had to put him on top of, they had to bring like the tall ladder from the fire department up to get him down, and the people that he had taken hostage. There was like 5 people. So anyways, I eventually got to go to a lineup in San Francisco, and they had, there was 5 other guys that were in the lineup, and I had not seen him since the day he shot me. But he looked a little bit different. I remember his hair was different, but the second I saw him, I knew it was him. My heart started racing. I was like, oh shit, that's him. So I did pick the right guy. Like I said, I kind of begged the FBI for a while for that bullet, because I don't know that they were really going to give it to me, but they did. They finally mailed it to me. And, yeah, and so then he was sentenced. And I've explained this many times, and I think I'm explaining it right. They basically said to me, would you mind if we go? They actually asked me. I mean, they were going to do it, I'm sure, regardless. But they said, under federal law, it's 7 years mandatory for each bank robbery. But for my shooting, it's like a lesser sentence. So they didn't want to go for just the shooting. They wanted to go for the big sentence. So they were going to put, I think it was, I don't know, 5 counts or 6 counts of robbery. I thought it was 7, but he's out now. So he was in there for 27 years. And I don't know where he is. And on other videos, I've written to him once. I tried to reach out one time. Didn't happen. People have said I'm crazy for doing that and just let it go. So I didn't try again. But anyways, yeah, so during the sentencing, and I didn't know this was going to happen, the judge said, do you realize that the woman that you shot in San Jose is sitting in this courtroom? You need to turn around and apologize to her. And I was like, what? And I was sitting there with my boyfriend at the time, my mom, my stepdad, and I was like, just like a deer in headlights. And so he turned right around. They're pointing, she's right there. And I'm like, I'm here. Like, I didn't know what to say. It wasn't a personal thing. I didn't feel like he was like hunting me down or anything. And so it sort of felt accidental. Not that it's okay or anything, But yeah, he said sorry. And I said nothing. I remember I couldn't manage to like get any noise to come out because I think I was just in shock and scared, and I couldn't believe like the judge did that. I mean, it's fine, it was nice of her, but I didn't expect it at all. So Curtis Blackwell Jr., that's his name. He spent 27 years in jail, and down in Lompoc, and that's south of where I live, a good probably 3 hours. And yeah, and so life went on, and I healed from my injuries, and it's been like kind of a crazy story to tell. I remember when I waited till my kids were old enough to tell them, and they were just like, what? So yeah, and kids find out where I work, you know, you got shot in a bank robbery, and they want to see the bullet and hear the story. And so at this point, it's just one of those crazy stories. It feels like it happened to someone else almost. I mean, I know it happened to me, but I don't feel anything from it anymore. I still have a little numbness in the palm of my hand from it, but that's it. So yeah, so today is 28 years ago. It feels like not a long time ago, but it also feels like forever ago. You know, life goes by so fast in so many ways, and in some ways it feels like you're still there and you can remember everything perfectly. So that's just always strange about life. But I remember I've forgotten this day many times. Like it'll go by and I'll like be like nagging at me like 3:20, what does that mean? And then I just forget about it. And yesterday I was thinking, I'm like, oh my God, that's right, my dad's birthday is on the 19th, and I always forget it was the day after. By the way, my parents heard that a woman had been shot back. This is before the internet, so everything was like on AM radio and, you know, TV and stuff. So my dad had heard that a woman had been shot in San Jose. He had no idea it was me. And then my mom and my stepdad had to close up they had an optometry business. They had to close up, and they were literally probably 40 minutes from San Jose, 45 minutes from San Jose, and I think they got stuck in traffic and everything, just trying to get to the damn hospital to get to me. My poor mom was having like, you know, I don't know, there was probably not a whole lot of information going back and forth because you're trying to get a hold of the hospital. And I know they told her she's fine, and like I remember her walking into the hospital room, and I'm like, they were wheeling me in, and I'm like, Mom, because at that point I'd had morphine and I wasn't feeling the pain in my hand anymore, so I was like, I'm fine. So I remember like seeing her, but like, I mean, she was losing it, and I was like, Mom, I'm fine. I'm like, look, I'm alive, it's fine, it's all fine. And so yeah, I kind of took it like that. I had some moments where I remember being in 7-Eleven late at night near the college campus with friends, and all of a sudden having this like feeling like, my God, everything could go wrong right now. Someone could walk in with a gun and shoot all of us. So yeah, I remember having that feeling. I had a woman walk in one time, and I just all of a sudden out of nowhere thought she could shoot me, and like I had that like a kind of a cold sweat. My heart started racing. Oh, and also, I don't know if I mentioned this in my last video, but the executive, like the top guy of Bank of the West, you know, they said because I went back to work. I went back to work like 3 months later. And I became I actually like upped I wasn't just a teller, I was a something else teller. I was a vault teller, assistant vault teller, that was it. So I got to deal with more money and like business accounts and stuff like that. So I did work there for like another year, I think, after that. And I don't know, I just, other than those few times that I got worried, you know, nothing ever happened. But the first day back, I remember getting to my window. I think I took like 2.5 months off, 3 months. And the executive, like the top guy, the president of Bank of the West, was there watching me set up my window from kind of a distance to make sure like I was okay. I don't know what the point was. He like didn't really say much to me. It was sort of strange. Like, well, I'm like, I don't know. What do you think? I'm gonna like freak out or something? So he was there. And then I got, oh my God, the honor of going to lunch with him and like the vice president. And so we go, it's like, I don't know. And they're so like, guess what? You get to go. Cause I got no money, by the way. I thought I was going to be rich. I thought I was going to be on Oprah. I thought I was going to have a new car. I was like, all these great things are going to happen. Oh my God. Like, of course you got shot in a bank robbery. I'm going to be loaded. No, workers' compensation covered the bank 100%. They thought they overpaid me. I got paid about $4,000. By the time it was all done, and they said because of they do like a thing where they have to test your injury to determine what it's really like, how bad it is. So I had to go into this like, this guy was such an asshole. He was a workman's comp doctor, and he put needles in all my freaking fingers and it ran this like electrical shock through my hand. I remember thinking, this is nuts, and it hurt, and my hand was like, you know, jerking. And so this determines the nerve damage to my hand. And so I had like a 2% damage. And so they basically said, your damage is too small. We've actually overpaid you too much. You should only have been paid about $2,100 or something. But they didn't ask for it back. It was so nice of them. So anyways, I got away with $4,000. Woo! And so they take me out to lunch, these two guys, and I'm thinking, I didn't know what to make of it. They were like, I remember my manager being like, the president and the vice president are going to take you to lunch. I'm thinking, oh, they're going to treat me like a queen, right? So this was just downtown San Jose, and I think it was at like the Bank of the West, like the big Bank of the West, downtown San Jose. But we went all the way to the top. There was this big restaurant that was at the top of the building that overlooked all of San Jose. It was beautiful. I remember that. It was beautiful. And we all sit down. They sit across from each other, and I remember, I could still see the whole thing where I was sitting, and here I am. I'm like, I don't know, at that point I might have been 21, but still it's incredibly uncomfortable for me. These men were in their 40s, and they're in suits, and I'm like, I'm not used to like this really proper type of like lunch. And you know, I think I might have been old enough to have a drink. Of course I didn't, but they talked to each other. They talked to each other the entire time. They barely said a word to me at all. And at first I was thinking, well, eventually they're going to say something. They're talking shop for a second. No, the entire time. It was so rude of them. So rude. I'll never forget it. It was literally just for like publicity. Is that the right word? Just to make them look good that they took me to lunch. You know what I mean? And so they did. So they took me to lunch, but it was freaking so rude of them. They didn't even talk to me. They didn't talk to me. I swear to God, they talked to each other about other stuff the whole time. I don't remember, but I was not included. And I sat there and quietly ate my lunch. I couldn't wait for it to end. I thanked them nicely and politely as I left. And I remember walking away and going, oh my God, what was that all about? So anyways, yeah. Thanks, dudes. That was super lame. And then, yeah, that's about it. I went back to school. I graduated with a degree in radio, TV, and film, and I ended up working at a local TV station in San Jose, Channel 36 News, because they were the ones who interviewed me, and they said, hey, well, that's your major. Do you want to come to the station and check everything out? Because we know that that's your major. And, you know, Linda Joyce is who interviewed me. She also was one of the reporters who won a lottery to go watch The Last Man witness his death at San Quentin. This was like obviously 1991. And she got to see that. So it's the same Linda Joyce. And I worked with her. I ended up getting a job at Channel 36 as like a little gopher. I was like running around with scripts and I don't know, flirting with the weatherman and stuff like that. So anyways, it was a really fun job. I worked there for about a year and a half, making like $5 an hour. Yeah, it was like, and I got to go to a Warriors game with the sports department, which was just this guy named Tony. And anyways, yeah, we got to sit like on courtside seats. That was really fun. So there's some benefits. And yeah, so other than that, I didn't really do anything with my radio, TV, and film major. But yeah, I didn't really. I went into like pharmaceuticals, and ironically, now that I take a pharmaceutical every day, a very important one to keep my HIV undetectable. So yeah, I did. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep, and yeah, watch my video about me being a sub. I talk about all the jobs I used to have. I used to press wedding gowns. That was my very first job. I was in high school, $4.75 an hour. Right before they went to the bride, I ironed them up and made them look all pretty, stuffed them with paper, and yeah, it was really fun. Okay, that's it. I don't even know, this video's gone on for a while. So anyways, yeah, I just wanted to share with you guys that today's my 28-year anniversary of my shooting. I'm so freaking thankful to be alive here today, to have had the life I've had since then. And it's been full of so many amazing moments. And one of them is being able to share my life with you guys. Really, this is just an insane thing that I never ever saw coming, and I love it. This is so fun, and I love sharing with you guys, and I love doing lives with you guys and getting to know. There's so many people that I'm now starting to really get to know them, you know, by name, and it's fun, and they're there when I show up. So you guys you're great, and I appreciate it so much. Okay, I'm out of here. I gotta go home and make my kids dinner. I mean, something like that. I don't know, but I gotta go home. Okay, bye guys. Have a good one.